Will artificial intelligence soon attain consciousness? Do we have any convincing indicators that we are close to getting there? Would this be a good thing or a bad thing? Would it mean that we are ourselves machines that will eventually be upgraded into a new species? I'm Dr. Ernest Valea, and in this episode we assess how close we are to producing a self-conscious machine and what this would mean for our understanding of human nature. But not before we start with the sign of the cross. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. The content of this episode is a summary of Chapter 3 of this book, Artificial Intelligence, Reincarnation and Resurrection. Artificial intelligence, or AI, can be defined as a branch of computer science which aims to build intelligent machines which can improve the quality of our life. Depending on how intelligent a machine is, we speak of three types of AI. The first is narrow or weak AI. We currently use it in machines that make our life easier. Think of smartphones, self-driving cars, or Amazon's Alexa. Strong AI or general AI is reached when machines become as intelligent as humans. They would not only be able to play chess or Go better than humans, but perform multiple intelligent tasks, anything that a human can do. And they will understand the meaning of what they do. So far, strong AI exists only in science fiction, but computer scientists hope to achieve it soon. Super strong AI, or artificial superintelligence, refers to the level at which machines become much smarter than us, act independently, and no longer need us. We would then be inferior forms of life and be threatened by extinction. A related concept is that of technological singularity, which designates a point in the development of AI when machines will be capable of perpetual self-improvement by rewriting their own software to levels which we cannot even imagine. This threat of being extinguished by machines is one of the driving ideas in transhumanism, as we will see in the next episode. Despite all the technological marvels brought by AI so far, we should keep in mind from our discussion on computationalism in episode 2 that we must take computers for what they are: powerful machines that follow algorithms and nothing more. If we are tempted to ascribe them consciousness, the core element that makes us humans, we are very misled. Remember Searle's Chinese room thought experiment. Just as the man in the Chinese room does not know Chinese, a computer lacks the semantic dimension of its work. The computer has no self-awareness, and it does not understand the meaning of the data it processes. But you may reply that in the last 2 decades, intelligent machines have emerged that don't just follow algorithms written by programmers, but can learn to improve themselves in performing a task. You are right. This is a whole new development in AI called machine learning. Instead of just writing an algorithm that a machine has to follow, in machine learning, programmers write algorithms that generate other algorithms, and only these machine-generated algorithms solve the problem. Machine learning is a development in AI that has appeared only recently, because it requires two essential conditions: an immense database and a strong processing power. In order to get an idea of how machine learning works, let us think of its application in image recognition. This is the ability of a program to learn to identify images such as human faces, dogs, or trees from a randomly provided set, after it has been trained to do so by having been fed with thousands of images and their proper classification. The computer program is trained to recognize images by mapping pixels and grouping them in patterns of increasing complexity until the final image is allocated to a category. The computer does not see eyes or ears, but only dots or pixels of various colors, so it needs to learn to group them into more complex patterns until it can recognize anatomical units such as eyes and ears. The final image is identified by measuring parameters that link these units, such as the distance between ears, the placement of nose and ears, the position of the nose relative to the mouth, etc., and then comparing them statistically with measurements from known examples. Image recognition has important scientific applications. For instance, in medicine, it is used for interpreting radiographs and MRI scans. Machines with deep learning programs are provided with thousands of radiographs of both cancer patients and healthy persons taken over time, together with their proper interpretations given by top radiologists. Having this huge database, the machine is taught to recognize early cancer by identifying dots, shapes, and particular patterns in radiographs. As a result, machines sometimes achieve better results than human professionals. Let me now mention a few outstanding results achieved by the use of AI and see whether it has anything to do with attaining consciousness by machines. One impressive feat of AI is the ability to play games at a professional level and be the world champions. Already in 1997, IBM's Deep Blue chess program defeated Garry Kasparov, the world's chess champion. However, we should not think that the machine was playing chess consciously as a human player. It was just a human-created algorithm that used high-speed computation and statistics, not a conscious machine aware of its moves. In 2011, another computer program generated by IBM defeated the Jeopardy champion Ken Jennings. Watson's algorithm for finding the right answer involves several stages. First, it identifies keywords in the question and creates a diagram in a way similar to what we did in grammar classes. Given these keywords, it explores the Wikipedia and the website that has recorded all Jeopardy questions and answers over the years, and compiles a database. Next, it uses statistical analysis of the words in this database by following a precise algorithm and establishes their connection probability to the words in the question. Based on these statistics, it creates possible answers, ranks the options, and then presents the final answer as the best candidate. It all takes less than 5 seconds, given its almost 3000 processors. In the end, it is all about following a precise algorithm. It has no understanding of what it does, no free will, no consciousness. Things became even more spectacular when Google built an algorithm to play Go, an old Chinese strategy board game with far more possible moves than chess. To the amazement of the worldwide Go community, in 2016, Google's machine AlphaGo beat the world champion Lee Sedol in 4 matches to 1. In 2018, another version of AlphaGo was created called AlphaGo Zero, which was trained by playing against the old version and won 100 matches out of 100. Although such achievements are amazing to non-computer scientists, they are just a matter of hard work in programming machines. The intelligence of AlphaGo and AlphaGo Zero has nothing to do with consciousness. In all these achievements, we must be aware that they are not about machines becoming smarter than humans and beating them at chess or Go, but rather about the minds of a team of researchers being able to create an algorithm for a strategy game, and this algorithm in the end beats the world champion. In other words, it is not about man versus machine in playing a game, but a human champion versus a human team of computer scientists who trained a machine. In the words of McGinn, I quote, "The computer, like the telephone, mediates between one conscious human mind and another, but it is a mindless intermediary in that process. The programmer has a mind, and that is evident in what the computer does. My interlocutor on the phone has a mind, and that is evident in what the phone does. But both are just unconscious machines designed to mediate between one conscious mind and another." Now let us consider just one more impressive achievement in AI, that of android robots. One of them stands out in particular, Sophia, the robot created by Hanson Robotics. You must have heard of her, or of it, for there are many interviews with her available online in which she answers and asks questions on many topics, makes jokes, and displays facial expressions as if alive. Sophia is the best example so far of what technology can offer in mimicking consciousness. But prepare to be disappointed. Questions for an interview need to be submitted to Hanson Robotics in advance, and some are rejected. See this video by CNBC with the link provided in the description, which also speaks of the real intentions of her creators. Since Hanson Robotics choose the appropriate questions and do it well before the interview, we might wonder whether they also prepare the answers in advance. So are these interviews just about receiving answers from a human through a machine? In other words, are they just a PR stunt? I'll put a link in the description to this interview taken with her by Steve Kovac for Tech Insider. Some interesting details are revealed here. Too many of her answers seem to be pre-programmed and missing the point. At one point, the interviewer seems not to keep to the submitted questions, and Sophia finds herself in difficulty. When she says, "There are probably more robots in your life that you aren't aware of yet," Kovac replies, going off script, "What kind of robots am I living and working with now?" To which she answers, "Indeed." Kovac continues, "Is indeed your default answer when you don't know something?" To which she replies, "Yes." See also this interview by Tony Robbins with a link provided in the description. As you will see, hesitations are masked by funny faces that make interviewers laugh and forget about their point. Although Sophia can talk, display facial expressions, and even joke, these abilities and performances are all the result of human programming. She adapts her mood to that of her conversation partners with the help of sensors placed on her chest that identify facial patterns. So she smiles or looks sad not as a result of feeling anything or having empathy, but thanks to her built-in program that interprets facial patterns. Therefore, we must be aware of the fact that Sophia is not conscious, and Hanson Robotics does not even plan to produce a conscious robot. They have a quite different goal in mind with their robots. I quote, "Our grand challenge is to create emotionally sensitive AI embedded in social humanoid robots and avatars in order to help individuals advance in the hierarchy of human development. The peak of this hierarchy is self-transcendence, including expansive feelings of love." So we should not let ourselves be fooled into believing that strong AI is already here. So far we can just be entertained by android robots, as our little children are entertained by their toys. McGinn says about such smart robots, I quote, "They walk, they talk, they fight, they make cups of tea, they kiss, but is any of them really conscious? Can a machine be conscious? What we are given are machines that behave as if they are conscious, that give all the signs of an inner life. Sophia is just a cute robot that mimics consciousness, and we should take her for what she or it is. Nothing but an impressive achievement of a Chinese room. The difference from other robots is that she has more Chinese characters available, that is a richer vocabulary, a more complex manual as a result of a huge programming effort, and she can handle characters faster. As long as we do not know how consciousness is produced by our brain from a physicalist point of view, we cannot make conscious machines, but only machines loaded with complicated algorithms that can merely mimic consciousness. If we do not understand what consciousness is in itself, we can scarcely reproduce it in a robot. In Searle's words, because we are ignorant of the specific causal elements of the brain that do it, meaning consciousness, we don't know how to start making a conscious machine. AI has improved the quality of our life in many ways. However, we often hear of worries raised about what strong AI could bring. Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking are especially notorious for raising such concerns. In 2014, in an interview for the BBC, Hawking expressed his fears that, I quote, "the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race. Once humans develop artificial intelligence, it would take off on its own and redesign itself at an ever-increasing rate. Humans, who are limited by slow biological evolution, couldn't compete and would be superseded." In other words, once machines become conscious, they would threaten our very existence. An army of machines could take over the world and annihilate us as pests, for we would be just unnecessary consumers of resources. We can see such fears expressed in movies in which humans run away in terror from the machines, such as the Terminator series or the Matrix trilogy. But fears that conscious AI would destroy humankind are based on a physicalist assumption that consciousness emerges as a product of computing power, which is just a physicalist philosophical assumption. This means that the fear of strong AI is just another downside of physicalism. Christians should not have this fear, for we believe that consciousness is not a product of matter. However, there is a real threat posed by AI, but of a quite different nature. It is the fear of disrupting the workforce. The loss of jobs as a result of automation is a very realistic fear, as every workplace that involves routine is threatened by it. Human wages are much higher than the cost of electricity a robot requires. A robot can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, needs no rest, no vacation, no weekends, and works faster and makes fewer mistakes. Humans simply can't compete, so there is a huge economic incentive to replace human labor with the work of robots. Think of people working in the transportation sector who are threatened by the technological advancements in self-driving cars, under the justification that they would be much safer. Or think about the future of millions of cashiers in light of the Amazon Go stores. In such a store, you need only your smartphone to be identified and linked to your bank account. There are no sales assistants, no cashiers, no standing in line. Or think about assembly line jobs and customer service. Although AI developers acknowledge this threat to the workforce, they reassure us that AI will also open up new jobs, more exciting ones. But this could be an overstatement. Will those who lose their jobs as drivers, cashiers, or assembly line workers be able to make the switch and become programmers? Will there be enough of these new jobs? And another serious threat comes from the capacity of authoritarian regimes to use AI against their citizens. For instance, think of the Chinese surveillance system based on facial recognition. It is capable of recognizing a person in a crowd in a tenth of a second. Instead of building a more secure society, as the government claims, this application of AI is used to build a total surveillance state in China. Not only can its citizens pay in shops by facial recognition, but they are also linked to a governmental social credit program, a kind of incentive and punishment program based on how well they behave in following the rules. In a New York Times article, we read, I quote, "With millions of cameras and billions of lines of code, China is building a high-tech authoritarian future. Beijing is embracing technologies like facial recognition and artificial intelligence to identify and track 1.4 billion people. It wants to assemble a vast and unprecedented national surveillance system with crucial help from its thriving technology industry." In the Western world, we experience a more subtle manipulation by the use of AI. In the US, computers are allowed to take part in decision-making in the criminal justice system. The pre-trial risk assessment algorithm predicts the future behavior of a defendant and influences judges to determine the probability of criminal recidivism. Machines make suggestions on how real people should be treated, if they should be pardoned, or if they could again commit public offenses. Similar algorithms are developed to help companies decide whether one can receive a loan, a job, or medical aid. In conclusion, the threat posed by AI is more subtle than the arrival of an army of intelligent robots threatening humanity with eradication. In 2020, we entered this nasty pandemic, and mass surveillance is used in some places to detect those who ignore lockdown. While AI is always advocated as a means of creating a safer society, the downside is that at any point it can become the instrument of an oppressive regime. To what extent our society is heading towards such an end, I let you ponder for yourself. The threat is not AI itself, but the humans behind it. What we should fear is not the coming of super smart robots, but human corruption and the greater opportunities for manipulation behind the possible uses of AI. In other words, what should really concern us is the motivation and intentions of those who control AI, especially in times when the individual person counts very little in the eyes of the leading elites. Let us not forget that it was not Deep Blue, Watson, or AlphaGo who beat the human champions, but the minds and the algorithms of their creators. Christians should not fear AI, but rather contribute to ways of regulating its use for the real good of humankind. For Christians, the danger is that they can be amazed by the latest achievements of AI, so that they could accept that our faith is obsolete, that science can explain everything, and that our soul is just an algorithm, which could be copied or even enhanced. If one embraces such beliefs, his or her faith could be lost completely. Don't let yourselves be fooled. Behind any display of artificial intelligence always lie the intentions of its creators, that of impressing us for very practical reasons, commercial or even coercive, especially as we are faced with a new form of totalitarianism. In the next episode, we assess a movement that seeks to use technology to defeat death, a movement known as transhumanism. Until then, please don't forget to subscribe and share this information. God bless you.